Hello and welcome to Business 360. I'm Shireen Bhan. The headlines we're tracking this evening. A relief rally across global stock markets as investors hope the banking turmoil will be contained. Moody's and S&P downgrade the outlook for UBS to negative following the takeover of Credit Suisse. All eyes now on the two-day meeting of the US Fed, which starts today. The sensex gains over 400 points. Nifty adds 100 points as positive global cues lift sentiment on the Lal Street. Bank stocks rebound, mid-caps rise in tandem with the blue chips. Mixed day for the Adani stocks. GQG Partners CEO Rajiv Jain says it would be a mistake for the company to pause on growth plans over debt concerns raised by investors. Opposition parties protest from the first floor of Parliament demanding a joint parliamentary probe into the Adani controversy. Brent trades near 15-month lows as crude oil prices stabilize. India cuts the windfall tax on crude petroleum but hikes the export duty on diesel. The government is in a race against time to meet its disinvestment target of 50,000 crore rupees with barely 10 days left. The government is still short by 19,000 crores. Government department in charge of disinvestment indicates it is in favor of including dividend receipts as part of its revenue. That's an exclusive. The government concludes its probe into the allegations that Hero Electric and Okinawa wrongfully claimed electric vehicle subsidies for imported components. Sources say the probe against 12 other EV players still underway. That's another CNBC-TV18 exclusive. Interpol withdraws a red corner notice against PNB scam accused Mehul Choksi, allowing him to fly across the globe as long as he doesn't set foot in India. The CBI says the decision was taken on the basis of, and I quote, imaginary conjunctures, and promises to exercise all options. The Union Home Ministry finally approves the Delhi state budget after stalling it on the eve of the presentation. Yesterday, the Home Ministry had asked the state government to resubmit the budget after considerations by Delhi's Lieutenant Governor, V.K. Saxena. Unseasonal rains destroy crops across large parts of Maharashtra, Rajasthan, Punjab, Madhya Pradesh. The Met Department advises farmers across large parts of western and central India to delay harvesting. China's President Xi Jinping and Russia's Vladimir Putin hold talks for the second day in Moscow. Putin says he's open to China's proposal on the war in Ukraine. Japan's Prime Minister heads to Ukraine's capital, Kyiv, after his visit to India. Well, the top story this evening, we've seen a relief rally across stock markets worldwide as investors hope that the banking turmoil can be contained. So stocks rallied across Asia and Europe after being battered for the last few days. But problems facing the banking sector are not over yet. Shares of US lender First Republic tumbled in Monday's trade, less than a week after 11 American banks had pumped $30 billion into it. This after S&P warned that the infusion may not solve First Republic's problems. It also downgraded the bank's credit ratings deeper into junk. S&P and Moody's also downgraded UBS's credit outlook to negative after it took over Credit Suisse. Meanwhile, Credit Suisse bondholders are considering legal action after the Swiss regulator ruled out any relief for additional Tier 1 bondholders, wiping out nearly $17 billion worth of their investments in the bank. Steve Sedgwick is here with a blow-by-blow account of how Credit Suisse, one of the world's largest and most secretive banks, unraveled in the last few months. Steve.
The sale of Credit Suisse to UBS comes after significant challenges. Well, again, my read's wrong. It says recent years. Let's be honest about it. It's been all century. In early 2020, the then CEO, Tidjane Thiam, left the bank amid a fallout from a spying scandal. Remember that one? Yeah. In 2021, then, the firm faced a I don't even know where it is. Where is it? $5.5 billion loss from its exposure to the failed hedge fund Archegos, and was forced to suspend $10 billion of investor funds after the collapse of the supply chain lender Greensill Capital. Later that year, the bank was fined $475 million tuna bonds. Who even knew what a tuna bond was? For its so-called role in that bonds bribery scandal surrounding undisclosed loans to Mozambique. Amazing different parts of the world and different ways you can trip yourself up as a bank, isn't it? Anyway, last year, now this was a good one, last year saw the departure of the chair, Antonio Jota Osorio, after breaching COVID rules. Quite benign compared with some of the other stuff, isn't it? I mean, Boris was Prime Minister for a long while after. Well, that'll be interesting today, by the way. The firm's latest restructuring plan was unveiled by the new CEO, Ulrich Körner. There was one or two CEOs in between, I forget how many, and that was part of the latest crisis of the lender, which, as you know, led to a whole host of events, which led to the ultimate loss of confidence.
Steve Sedgwick, many thanks for joining us. Now, the global relief rally rubbing off on the Lal Street as well. The Nifty and the Sensex gained over 0.5%, closing in the green. Financials leading from the front today, with the Nifty Bank seeing gains of close to 1.5%. Prashant is here with the action from the Lal Street. Prashant, markets recovering today, but all eyes on the Fed.
It was a volatile session, but by close, there was 100-plus points in the Nifty to show for it. Through the course of the day, we had many 30, 40, 50-point sell-offs, bounces, at least 6, 7 of them before the close, which gave us that bounce. The banks did even better, the Bank Nifty that is, and both private and public sector part of the banking index participated with equal amount of vigor. But sectorally, if there was one space, it was the oil and gas index which did well, and I'll come to the why in just a bit. Mid caps and small caps as sectors in the broader market also doing decently okay. Reliance was that one reason, 3% pop. It's been underperforming the rest of the market in this sell-off episode of the market, and it did do a little better. There were lots of upgrades, basically pointing out that the stock is actually now cheap. HDFC Life, SBI Life, actually insurance companies did well. The other underperformer has been Bajaj Finance last year and so far this year as well. That saw some sort of bids emerge. Bajaj Auto and Axis Bank are the other large Nifty names which did okay. Cuts coming through on the Nifty in HUL, Power Grid and Britannia, which lost a little bit. Market breadth was positive, not as positive as in the early part of the day. But Aarti Drugs, Adani Green, the asset management companies, HDFC, AMC, UTI, AMC did well. Stovecraft, SW Solar, CSB Bank, Gland, Sequent were some of the other gainers in the broader space. Gale was down in the mid-cap space, LTTS, and you also had Fortis, which was lower. Now, banks have outperformed the Nifty, so that's the index to watch out for in terms of looking for leadership. The Nifty itself needs to cross the 17,200 level to call it, for some more confidence to come back, for one to call a bit of a short-term reversal here. And, of course, global market headlines will be very important. Tomorrow, later in the evening, we get the Fed decision, which is going to be very keenly watched and which should set the tone for the rest of the week. Back to you.
Yes, it certainly will. Prashant, many thanks for joining us. A mixed day today for Adani Group. 8 of the 10 Adani Group stocks ended in the green. Meanwhile, Rajiv Jain of GQG Partners says the Adani Group needs to keep growing and it would be a mistake to pause on its growth plans over debt concerns. Remember, GQG Partners has invested over 15,000 crore rupees across various Adani Group stocks. Take a look.
So our view is that they need to keep pushing for growth while managing the debt level, which I think they've already done that. I mean, they announced some of the shelving of the project, so on and so forth. So I think it'll be a little more manageable from the debt perspective, although we are not concerned as the current point from a debt side. But I think the objective is to keep growing. Look, I think it'll be a mistake to slow down to get the debt levels down. I think these businesses are supposed to be levered. That's the model. So debt has to be in a sort of in a measured way. However, our view is that don't change anything to please the markets.
Don't change anything to please the market. That's GQG Partner founder Rajiv Jain's message to the Adani Group, group that he has invested a significant amount of money in. Opposition parties protesting from the first floor of Parliament, demanding a joint parliamentary probe into the Adani controversy. Parties include the Congress, the DMK, RJD, CPIM, among others. They held demonstrations, raising slogans, hung a banner saying, "We want a JPC." And on to all the action from the commodity market. Oil prices stabilizing as a deal between UBS and Credit Suisse ease some worries about a fall in demand for crude. Prices continue to hover near the 15-month lows. And back home, the government has cut the windfall tax on crude petroleum from 4,400 rupees to 3,500 rupees a tonne, as was expected. However, it's also hiked the special additional excise duty on the export of diesel from 50 paise a litre to a rupee per litre. The windfall tax on petrol and aviation turbine fuel continues to be nil. Here's a CNBC-TV18 exclusive. It is a race against time for the government to meet the disinvestment target of 50,000 crore rupees with barely 10 days left for the financial year to close. The government is still short 19,000 crore rupees. Sapna joins us now with the details. Sapna, it looks unlikely that as far as pure disinvestment receipts are concerned, the government will be able to shore up that 19,000 crores in the last 10 days of this financial year. But the government is not looking at it that way. They're clubbing the dividend receipts as well and saying we've done much better.
Absolutely. In fact, if you look at the overall number in total, this is 50,000 odd crores plus the dividend aim, which was 43 odd thousand crores, and that they have already exceeded. So the total aim is now at 93 odd thousand crores, out of which they have met 83 odd thousand crores. But however, if you look in the disinvestment picture itself, basically the market volatility and the face-off with the Vedanta group, I think that has taken a toll on the disinvestment receipts. So they stand somewhere around 31 odd thousand crores. But however, going forward, will this become the practice of clubbing dividend receipts with the pure disinvestment receipts and looking at a number, in toto? That's something that there's still a question mark on that. So, as of now, pure dividend receipts and pure disinvestment receipts. Though Deepa, of course, is looking at it in a different way. That's one. Second, also in terms of your tax revenue mop-up, what we have learned so far is that looking at the current trends, there could be a marginal shortfall on that front as well. Somewhere around 98 to 99 odd % of the revised total tax mop-up aim is likely to be met. This shortfall could be somewhere in the region of 30 odd thousand crores to around 50 to 60 odd thousand crores. So if you look at the big picture, 30.47 trillion rupees is the total net tax mop-up target, direct and indirect. So within that, if you have a 1 to 1.5 odd % shortfall, that's nothing much to talk about. But net, yes, on disinvestment, they will miss the target majorly, and on tax mop-up, marginally.
All right, Sapna, appreciate you joining us. That is the latest on the government's tax math. Lenders to Reliance Capital will get into a huddle to conduct the second round of auction for the debt-laden company. Sources say lenders are unclear if bidders will participate without the final orders coming in from the Supreme Court. Yesterday, the Apex Court had ruled in favour of the second round of auction. Lenders are also looking at setting the base bid for round 2 at 9,500 crore rupees with 8,000 crore rupees in upfront cash. More pink slips at e-commerce giant Amazon. The firm has announced a fresh round of layoffs and it now plans to cut 9,000 jobs in the coming week. This comes only weeks after the company laid off 18,000 employees. The CEO, Andy Jassy, says the decision was necessary for the long-term success of the company. Interpol has withdrawn the red corner notice against PNB scam accused Mehul Choksi. CBI says the decision was taken on the basis of imaginary conjunctures. That and more when we return. Months after conducting a probe into misappropriation of subsidies and violations of localization criteria under the FAME scheme, the government has concluded its report against 2 electric vehicle players, Hero Electric and Okinawa. The government may soon take action, including clawing back of subsidies taken wrongly and even file an FIR. Parikshit joins us now with more. Parikshit, we learned that there are at least 12 other companies being probed currently. What are you picking up?
Well, this has been a comprehensive investigation. It began over a year ago, and we believe that the probe against Hero Electric and Okinawa has been completed. The government has taken a legal opinion on this, and there is a view that an FIR should be registered. There should be a clawback of subsidies. These options are on the table, and we believe that the Minister for Heavy Industries now has to take a final decision. We've been told by our sources that a decision can be taken any day now. At the same time, there are 12 other EV players which are under investigation for misappropriation of subsidies as well. Clarifications, more questionnaires have been sought from them. ICAT and Automotive Research Association of India, the testing agencies in the automotive industry, have been carrying out probe into whistleblower complaints about misappropriation of subsidies by Hero Electric, Okinawa, and 12 to 13 other electric vehicle manufacturers as well. We have been told that Hero Electric and Okinawa specifically were asked about the origin of some of their components, some of their consignments, and they cited non-disclosure agreement with their suppliers. The government, we have got to know from our sources, also took inputs from the Ministry of Commerce, the Customs Department, and the Directorate of Revenue Intelligence to confirm the complaints and also data on consignments on where they came from. So they have concluded, at least in 2 cases, that subsidies were wrongfully claimed
for products which were actually imported into India and not indigenously manufactured. And the misappropriation in these two companies, at least Hero Electric and Okinawa, would be to the tune of 250 crore rupees. There is also a separate probe underway against Ather Energy, TVS Motor Company, Hero Motorcorp and Ola. But this is for selling scooters above the price cap of 1.5 lakhs under the FAME scheme, but still availing the FAME subsidy. More clarifications have been sought from these companies. That probe is happening independently of the misappropriation probe of the FAME subsidy. Okinawa replied to CNBC-TV18's query. They said that they have not got any information of any legal action from the government so far. They've been meeting all FAME norms and they've passed on all subsidy benefits to the consumer, and they do not plan to take any legal action against the government for suspension and stopping of subsidies.
Parikshit, many thanks for joining us. It is a setback for the CBI and the government. The Interpol has withdrawn the red corner notice against PNB scam accused Mehul Choksi, allowing him to fly across the globe as long as he doesn't set foot in India. The CBI said the decision was taken on the basis of imaginary conjunctures and has promised to exercise all options to get a red corner notice restored. Abhimanyu Sharma and Abhishek Datta Roy get us more on how all of this has transpired. Take a look. A willful defaulter wanted in India is now a free man outside of India's borders. Interpol's decision to withdraw the 2018 red corner notice against Mehul Choksi, one of the prime accused in the multi-crore Punjab National Bank scam, comes as an embarrassment for the CBI and the government. A red corner notice is a request to law enforcement worldwide to locate and provisionally arrest a person pending extradition, surrender or similar legal action. The word provisional is of utmost importance here. A red notice does not tantamount to an arrest warrant.
The impact of the RCN is that now basically the RCN is issued so that if he travels anywhere in the world, so it could be at the immigration, he will be stopped and handed over to India. Now this cannot happen. So except coming to India, now my client is free to travel all over the world.
So why was a red notice issued by Interpol in the first place? Choksi allegedly connived with the Punjab National Bank officials to get fraudulent letters of undertaking and foreign letters of credit issued to companies owned or controlled by him. Investigations later revealed that these transactions were being carried out since 2011 but were not recorded in the bank's core banking software. By the time the scam was unearthed and investigations got underway, Choksi had already fled the country. Later, it was revealed that he had been granted citizenship in Antigua and Barbuda. He had applied for citizenship in the Caribbean nation in May 2017, months before the PNB scam came to light.
Because of the kidnapping attempt on my client, and now it has been established by the Antigua police report, so international community takes it in bad taste that you cannot put a man homeless, he cannot come to India, and then when he has the Antiguan citizenship, you are not letting him live in peace there.
Sources say that Choksi's allegations that an attempt had been made to kidnap him from Antigua in May 2021 and repatriate it to India may have gone against the CBI. The Interpol is yet to make an official comment on the matter. The opposition, however, is not holding back.
कि आज केंद्र सरकार नाकामयाब रही है कि जो लोग हैं जो भाग चुके हैं देश से उनको वापस देश में लाने नीरव मोदी हो, ललित मोदी हो, फिर आप देखिए विजय माल्या हो और अब मेहुल चोकसी हो, इनको पूरी तरीके से सीबीआई के केस में किसी तरीके का लूपहोल छोड़कर उनका बचाव किया जा रहा है और इसकी सिर्फ एकमात्र जिम्मेदार है केंद्र सरकार.
CBI in its response has said that the withdrawal of the red notice against Choksi is based on imaginary conjectures and the agency is going to make all-out efforts to ensure that the notice is restored. The agency has also said that even the Antiguan authorities consider that there was concealment of facts by Choksi while applying for Antiguan citizenship.
I don't think that this is possible now because ultimately now considering all this, now the RCN has been revoked because earlier also it was issued only at the request of CBI.
But for now, the latest chapter in the Mehul Choksi saga has left both the CBI and the government red-faced. With Abhishek Datta Roy and Abhimanyu Sharma in New Delhi, this is Shireen Bhan. So 4 years after a red corner notice was issued against Mehul Choksi, that stands withdrawn. Gulf carrier Emirates has raised concerns over seat allotment in India. In an exclusive conversation with Madiha Mujawar on the sidelines of the Qatar Aviation Summit, Emirates President Tim Clark said that the government remains reluctant to give more seats to carriers. Aviation Secretary Rajiv Bansal confirmed that all Middle Eastern airlines have asked for additional seats and the government is currently unable to accommodate those requests. Take a look.
We have an open sky policy with all countries which are more than 5,000 kilometers, and we are seeing greater demand. We are seeing a new hub coming up in Vietnam. Vietnam has been asking for more frequencies. Indonesia is asking for more frequencies. So that's reflective of the Indian demand to visit these places. And recently with Russia we had agreed, and they wanted an increase in the number of frequencies. We have allowed that. So there's always work in progress, but nothing very, very significant to report.
So I believe Emirates is seeking more seats.
So all the Middle East carriers have been asking for additional seats over the last several years, but we have not been giving any additional seats to any Middle East carrier.
Sir, you mentioned it's a pity that India is not allotting more seats for carriers like Emirates. What is the refusal for? Like, what is the government saying?
I think they remain reluctant to give more seats. It's not just about Emirates, it's about the Indian carriers as well, because they're operating at very high seat factors on the Dubai-India market. So long as you don't give them extra seats, then it deprives them, well, we reckon, up to $1 billion a year of added income. But that's for the Indian government to decide, not us.
So on international traffic, sir, how much traffic do you see coming from India?
Out of India to the rest of the world is huge. It's unquantifiable, I would have thought, because this economy is growing at a huge pace. There's a lot of Indians resident abroad, probably 50, 100 million of them abroad, and so on and so forth. It's endless.
Air India expanding its network to more US and European destinations. How do you see that impacting your traffic from India, sir?
I think it's great. It's about time that Air India did this, and there's plenty for all. Plenty for all. I don't see any problem for us, and I wish Air India the best of luck with it.
So I believe you're in talks with Air India for code share. Any progress on that?
I don't know where that started. We're not at all. I mean, they've got their hands full trying to get themselves sorted out and get going. So code share with us is probably not high on their agenda.
Well, that's Tim Clark of Emirates in conversation with Madiha. And with that, it is time for us to wrap up this edition of Business 360. Thanks very much for watching. Stay tuned to CNBC-TV18. The news continues when we return.